Okay, Jini Patel Thompson here on the Listen to Your Gut Live. And if anybody is there, oh, hi. Some would never, but maybe I would. If you guys want to tell me where you're joining from, that would be fun. See where we're at. Hi. Okay, lots of people. Hi, everybody. So good to see you on here. I don't want to waste anyone's time with chit chat because, that's not how I roll. So let's get started. We had a question come in. I'm going to start with this one because it's not on my list of things I've written down over here. We had a question come in. What do we do for fistulas with a seton drainage inserted? And the answer to that. So here's what I'm going to start. I'm going to start by telling y'all how to find the answer to any question you might have ever, okay? There's two ways. And I have spent hundreds of hours organizing the material to, a friend of mine actually, she contacted me and she said, Jini, and she doesn't even have a GI disease. She's just like a normal person, healthy person. She said, you are my online medicine woman with a search box. And so if you can lock that in, that's where, use me. I'm your online medicine woman with a search box. And the search box is your awesome tool. So there's two places that you can go and search for anything you need. Number one is my blog. All right. So listentoyourgut.com, click on the blog, click on the search box and enter in whichever condition, whichever term, whatever problem you're having. And that will pull up all the material that I have related to that. Because, for example, this question that just got asked about the fistula and the seton and what to do about that. If you go to my blog, I not only have specific instructions for that, but I also have a bunch of companion posts on, for example, going into the emotional aspects of it, which are crucial, especially if it's a condition for you that's reoccurring. Go beneath the physical, go to the spiritual emotional layer. That'll pop on my blog, okay? The second place that you can go to search for things is on my site again, listentoyourgut.com. Click on Home Remedies. And on Home Remedies, there's a drop-down menu. There's a little box with a drop-down menu. Scoochie, 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 find your condition. So for this person, for example, fistula is located there. Okay, I've got a question coming in. Anismas, prescribed laxative, do nothing, and I've been referred to biofeedback therapy. I think you would really benefit from my Jini's Natural Healing Guide I just changed all the titles to make them cohesive, but anyway, it's about rectal spasm and pelvic pain and all things related. I think that is really going to give you some insights into possible causes you haven't thought about and also give you some really practical tools for just releasing and relaxing the entire area. For anything that's happening with your rectum and your pelvis, it's really important to know that there's something called the pudendal nerve. And if you look at your whole sacrum down your butt cheeks, the nerve is like this, and it goes throughout the entire pelvic floor down to your hip structure. And so understanding the pudendal nerve and what it does in its role is also really important. Okay, so I'm glad. Okay, how do we get our amino acids? Well, normally you would get them through your food supply. And this is why you may have heard the long-term advice for vegetarians that they have to protein combine in specific ways, because there is no vegetarian source protein that has the entire essential amino acid profile that you need to utilize protein properly. And here's a little side note. It's the same in horses. And most people don't know this. So they're like, I feed my horse this really great hay. Yeah, but any hay or grass does not contain the complete amino acid profile. You have to add in flaxseed or a legume like alfalfa to complete that amino acid profile. It's the same thing for humans. So if you're eating carnivore, omnivore sources, you will get your complete amino acid profile. If you're vegan, vegetarian, you're going to have to look up the foods you're eating and look up how to combine proteins to get the amino acids that you need. Or same thing with horses, you can add an amino acid supplement to make up the missing aminos that you have. Okay, so let's get to this. Okay, I see you're asking the same questions on my list about, do you have any thoughts about low-dose naltrexone for Crohn's disease? I do not. I did not try that personally, but I did do a teleseminar with Dr. Carolyn Dean. It's in the podcast section of the shop. All the podcasts there are free. They're just in the shop, so you can add them to your cart and get the download link directly, because we have transcripts for those as well. She talks about it, and she has had quite a lot of success with clients using it. Again, just really clue into your body and adjust the dosage as you need. But I don't personally, I've never used it, and I haven't gone into that whole treatment. So any functional medicine doctor as well would probably have some experience. A functional medicine doctor that's specialized in gut issues would also have, I'm sure, have some experience with LDN, so you could consult with them. Okay. So here's the question that people have already sent in. I'm going to start going through it. All right. How would you deal with scarring, strictures, and fibrosis in the small intestine at the site of a resection? I'm currently breastfeeding. Oh, such a good question. So you probably already know that I have a protocol called, again, Jini's Natural Healing Guide for Intestinal Strictures. And in that, we use castor oil combined with a topical formula of DMSO, colloidal silver, aloe vera, and potassium iodide. And then you would also drink that formula too. Because you're breastfeeding, I would not drink anything. So there's the official answer is you should only use castor oil. That would be the official answer for someone who's breastfeeding. So if you put castor, like let's say your site is right here where you've got the scarring and the stricture, you would just take cold pressed organic castor oil and you would rub it on there. And then if you are able to, which would really potentize it, you put a heat source on there. So whether that's a hot water bottle or a heating pad, and of course you need protection because castor oil will permanently stain anything it comes into contact with. So there's a procedure. Again, how do you find stuff? You go to my blog, type in castor oil pack, and then it'll give you detailed instructions for how to do that. Personally, now I'm going to talk about if it was me. So I'm not talking about you. I'm not giving health advice. I'm like, if it was me. If I had scarring, strictures, and fibrosis in my small intestine at the site of a resection, and I was breastfeeding, and I did breastfeed 3 children for 5 years, so I have a good idea of that process. If that were me, I would look at how severe it is. If it's preventing me from eating, or I'm worried about eating in case of an obstruction occurring, that would be one treatment path. But if it was just, I can feel it's there, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I think it's okay, I would just do the castor oil pack. Now, if I felt it was serious and it's going to impact my nutrient intake or perhaps lead to a flare that's then going to land me in a bigger problem, and then maybe if it goes severe, I'm not gonna be able to breastfeed my baby anyway. Like, again, how severe is it? How much is it impacting me? And then I would do the topical formula in my intestinal stricture heal protocol combined with the castor oil pack. And that's, I would go against medical advice. I would do things they tell you not to do when you're breastfeeding. Because for me, in that extreme condition, that would be worse than risking a flare that would separate me from my baby. And I have used DMSO and potassium iodide extensively, and colloidal silver extensively on myself. I've used it on my horses. I've used it on my dogs. I feel like I have a good feel for those substances. And I personally would feel okay putting that on my small intestine while I was breastfeeding. And I think it would probably only benefit my infant. But that's me. Okay, quick question that's been put in. Maybe I'll flip back and forth between the ones I got and the ones that are coming in. How would you avoid a root canal at home? Cannot see a biological dentist. I would take Joy of the Mountains or North American Urban Spice Wild Oregano. I would use one of those two brands because those are, I know they're potent, I know they're good. I would take the bottle, the commercial bottle, I would not dilute it further, and I would put one drop right on that tooth. And yeah, and jump around. It's only going to burn for 2.5 minutes, and then you're going to be good. And I would do that until all the pain went, because the pain is being caused by infection. And I know this because, again, I went through this with my child, my firstborn. All his baby teeth rotted out of his mouth. And he had a severe gag reflex. So if I were to take him to the dentist to have those teeth pulled, they wanted to put him under general anesthetic. I'm like, that's not an acceptable risk. So instead, he chose to do wild oregano directly on the tooth. And the dentists were like, you can't do that. His adult teeth aren't going to come in straight. You're going to compromise his oral health. No, he did that. And it was difficult when they were on the top. So he would lie on bed backwards, like upside down, and I would drop it into the tooth cavity. And it doesn't matter, like it goes in the tooth, it goes in the gums. It's still getting to the root of the tooth, and it's still going to address the infection. He did that throughout his whole childhood, all his baby teeth. And after you do that, I can't remember how long it would be per tooth. He's 23 now. I think I'm remembering it would take no longer than a week, maybe 2 weeks, until all pain was gone. And then the tooth would just dissolve, but there would be no pain because the infection was kept at bay by the wild oregano. The infection was healed. And all his adult teeth came in beautiful, straight, and strong. So there you go. Okay. And for how can you strengthen your teeth at home? Again, go to my blog, type in tooth decay. And I have an amazing protocol because after going through that with my oldest son and then my daughter, and then I was like, this is enough. 1 year, our dental bill was $10,000. I was like, this is insanity. There's got to be something we can do. And so I had already been researching extensively because I was malnourished in utero. My mom only gained 5 pounds when she was pregnant with me. So I have this tiny little jaw. This is actually called facial bone malformation. See my little pointy chin? This is not really an ideal evolutionary jawbone you're looking at here. This is facial bone malformation caused by malnutrition in utero or early childhood. So I have had severe dental issues my whole life. I have solved them. It has been 8 years now and no further decay for anybody except for when my one child was like, oh, I can do anything, and just went on absolute massive sugar binge and vaping and then there was some decay. But the rest of us have stayed completely clean and clear. Okay. And you guys, I see there's like a lot of questions coming in that I can't even really, I'm just not going to get to them all in this session. So you know what, we will do another one. I'll save your questions. They're in the comment section. So if I don't get to you in this way, in this call, I will get to you. Okay. I have ulcerative colitis for the past 3 years. I was on 2 different biologics the first 2 years. And then after reading both of Jini's books, I went off of Stelara in February. I've been on Nature and Probiotics for 2 years now, on and off, taking wild oregano oil. I went on the IBD remission diet back in early September for 3 weeks. I am very slowly transitioning to regular food, drinking Sun Warrior shakes in the morning. That Sun Warrior is a vegan protein shake. But I am finding I am still using the bathroom 10 times a day. Is there something you recommend to help with this? And also something to help with the bathroom urgency? Yes. Yes, I do. So again, go to the home remedies section, drop down menu, click on diarrhea. Everything you need is going to be there, but I'm going to just give it to you really briefly. L-glutamine on an empty stomach. Must be on an empty stomach for it to have an anti-diarrhea effect. It causes the colon to reabsorb the excess water, but it has to be on an empty stomach. Colonese Firm. So this is a product that I formulated for IMIX, and it is a stool bulking agent. So it will absorb water. It will take all those different stool deposits that are like coming out one at a time, and it'll put them all together so that you can maybe have 3 bowel movements a day instead and don't forget, diarrhea is a detox mechanism that the body uses to get rid of toxins. And like Candida, when Candida dies, it releases 168 different toxins. That's its goodbye gift to you. Those toxins have to be flushed from the body. So we don't want to stop that elimination, but we do want to bring it down to a more manageable level. And then, of course, when you do all those things, the urgency is going to naturally lessen because you're going to have less spasming in the intestine, you're going to have less water and less gas, which is what produces the urgency. But also, I highly, highly recommend in Listen to Your Gut, my flagship book, there's a section called Dialoguing with Your Body, and you teach your colon and your rectum how to work together to hold even a super urgent bowel movement until you get home to your bathroom, for example. So this I developed, back in the day when I was like, man, I can't even go shopping because I got to run to the toilet. This is insane. And I realized that, they're saying that all these things are outside of our control, but Indian yogis can control their heart rate. And I'm like, well, why can't I control my peristalsis and my elimination mechanisms? Well, guess what? You can. So there's a procedure in Listen to Your Gut where I teach you how to do it. It's like training a puppy. You got to be gentle with yourself. You got to do it at home where you have room to mess up and you gradually, anyway, it's all in there. It's all in Listen to Your Gut. Okay. Next question. What is the best whey combination to gain weight? Are you asking about whey as in whey protein, or what is the best whey? So I'm not sure what you're saying, so I'm just going to talk about gaining weight. To gain weight, you need a combination of protein, good fat, and carbohydrate. If you're missing any of those 3, you're not going to gain weight. So And people, like bodybuilders, they just pound protein. Yeah, but they're getting carbs from elsewhere in their diet, and they're getting good fats, from the steaks and the eggs and stuff that they're eating. So they are getting the good fats in there. So you have to find the fat source that you tolerate. Again, good sources of fat are olive oil, coconut oil, ghee, grass-fed butter, duck fat, beef tallow, again, only pasture-raised pork lard. Like, these are all good, usable sources of fat. Do not do your seed oils, your canola, your hydrogenated oils, your, soybean oil. It's so genetically modified. It's such, I would try to avoid it if you can. If you can't, make sure it's organic. But stick with those good fat sources that I recommended. And again, take enough protein. You can have your body weight in kilograms times 3 is the max amount of protein you can consume per day that your body can actually use, and you won't pee it out. So that's a good guideline for you to go with. All right. How do you deal with severe acne on the face? Can 1 drop of wild oregano mixed with 4 to 5 drops of olive oil and applied externally on the acne help? That would only help if you had very, very dry skin. And if you have acne, I'm guessing you don't have dry skin. You probably have more oily skin. So here's what you need to do. Acne, you have to treat it like wound healing, okay? For anything like this, you have to, again, this is developing your own body wisdom. There's a balance between killing pathogens, drying it out, and drying it out too much. And so what you do is you have a couple tools. And I've done this because I have 3 children. One is 17 right now, so he's going through it. The other 2 have already been through it. And when you get the hormones with puberty, they often result in zits and blackheads and pimples and acne and all the whole gamut. So of course you're keeping your face clean after after you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed at night, after you work out. You got to just keep, and you just use like a natural soap like Dr. Bronner's, or you don't use a chemical soap, you don't need to use a special cleanser, and even just hot water is a great cleanser. So you got that handled, and then you alternate between the regular strength wild oregano, but again, it's a commercial brand. It's not essential oil of oregano. This is a brand that's already been diluted, like Joy of the Mountains or North American Urban Spice. You just take 1 drop and dot wherever you've got the acne, leave it. That kills the microbes that are causing the infection, the pus things, but it's got oil, right? So you do that and you go, oh, but the oil's not doing so well. All right, switch to potassium iodide. Again, go see the one that I sell in the shop, get something with a similar, match this. If you don't want to buy from the LTYG shop, just match the specs at your local vendor. Take that potassium iodide and again, dot, 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 and toggle back and forth between the two of them so that you end up with the result that you want on your face, which is you're killing the pathogens, you're not drying it out too much, you're not making it too oily. Toggle back and forth. Okay. How long does it take for L-glutamine and bentonite clay to work for diarrhea? Again, that depends on your system, because again, if your body is doing a serious detox, you don't want your body to stop that, okay? And hopefully your body won't, because it does need to flush those toxins. I mean, you don't want to start, vomiting, right? That's not what you want. So, and then the other thing would be your dosage, right? Like, how many are you taking L-glutamine once a day? Are you taking it 3 times a day? That's going to affect how much are you taking per dosage. Like, all of that affects it. The only caveat with bentonite clay is do not take it for longer than 2 weeks, because it does take out all the bacteria, not like good and bad. Bacteria is bacteria. So that I'm getting distracted because somebody is knocking on my door, even though I told everyone I'm doing an Instagram live. I'm like in my bedroom with the door locked, but someone's knocking. Anyway. I'm sorry, I need to get a key for Hugo for the flat. Oh my goodness. So my husband needs to come in and get a key for our son who is flying to England. So hang on just a minute. Oh my God. Okay. Just be quiet. Sorry. That's what happens when you're living with other people. Okay, so 3 days taking Absorb Plus and Udos for mild Crohn's. I do not get the liquid bowel movement. Rather, I don't have any bowel movement alone. Is this constipation? Do I drink more water? Yes. Guys, this is in the IBD remission diet. I talk about this. Some people react to an elemental diet with constipation because the maltodextrin is absorbing a lot of water. So yeah, your first thing is you make sure you drink. I drink 16 ounces. When I've been on the elemental diet, I drank 16 and not 8. 8's a cup. What's a cup? No, drink 2 cups, 16 ounces of water in between shakes. And then what you can also do is add magnesium citrate to your shake. So start with just 125 milligrams and see if that resolves a problem. If you need to take more, you can take more. You can take up to 1,000 milligrams a day. So you might say, well, I'm just going to add 125 milligrams with every shake, and that is what my body likes. So again, just play around with it and watch your bowel movements and see what that does. Okay. Jini, do you think an elemental diet is the only way to stop bleeding, mucus, weight loss symptoms? Absorb Plus has worked a few times for me, and other times it seems my body needs something different. Okay. No, of course, an elemental diet is not the only way. Again, go to my blog. If you just type in common foods, it'll pull up the post. I have a post there about everyday foods that you can do that provide not really bowel rest, but certainly super, super easy to digest and absorb using regular foods. And see which of the foods that are mentioned on there that your body can tolerate, and go ahead and mix up those shakes. They work really well. Other thing is, of course, now see, if you've got weight loss, you can't do, raw, you can't do smoothies and broth because you're going to lose more weight and probably get more diarrhea. So I think you've got to go with the blog post that has the common foods to heal, I think it's common foods to heal inflammatory bowel disease. Those, you would need to go with those shake ingredients, which are things like black bananas, avocados, raw yogurt, if you can tolerate it. It's things like that. Otherwise, you know, you could go with, again, on my blog, type in low residue diet, go through those foods and see which of those you tolerate, right? So then you'd be looking at your things like your congee, your rice soup with done in a really nutrient dense organic chicken broth, easily tolerated foods like that, maybe mixed with some of the high density shakes, raw nutrient shakes. Again, everything is according to tolerance, right? Like if you could tolerate raw grass-fed milk from like cow, sheep, goat, combine that with pasture-raised organic raw egg yolks, unbelievable. Such high nutrition, so healing. And then with bone broths, boom, right? There's a lot you can do, again, based on your tolerance. Okay, my son has been on an elemental diet. Okay, wait, first one. Is it normal to feel a burning sensation when I drink Absorb Plus unsweetened? No, I would not say that's normal. And I would ask where the burning sensation is. Like, is it here? Is it here? Is it more like a heartburn thing? Is it down here in your gut, in your belly? If it's a heartburny type thing, I would book in for a craniosacral session at level 2. The therapist has to be at level 2 or higher, and get your esophageal valve released. That's again, and listen to your gut. Otherwise, maybe try another version of Absorb Plus. Maybe try the amino. If you tolerate the whey, try the whey. Like, see if, and again, like I just said previously, go and look at that blog post on common foods to heal inflammatory bowel disease. Try some of the food-based shakes. Try. You know, your body knows what it needs. My son has been on an elemental diet with chocolate royale for 7 weeks and is still pretty nauseous, and it's extremely difficult to get enough shakes in to keep gaining weight. Yeah. Any suggestions? So without knowing any other information, here's the process that I would go through, the check boxes that I would tick through. I would say, first of all, again, try different versions of Absorb Plus, because there could be intolerance, or an intolerance could have been built up. What's the emotional state of your child? Does he want to be on the elemental diet? Does he want to be taking the shakes? Does he hate the shakes? Because that is going to produce your physical reaction. And I know that from my time on Elaine Gottschall's specific carbohydrate diet. That diet ruined my life. I had to spend 2 days. I had to spend my entire weekend cooking to make food for the week where everything was the same and tasted the same. And I'm a foodie. I love taste. So yeah, it helped my symptoms in the beginning. But the emotional and mental stress of following that diet produced an adverse physical reaction in my body. And when I had food allergy testing afterwards, every food that came up on that list was the staples of the specific carbohydrate diet. It was like eggs, honey, almonds, and it was like, yeah, there's proof positive from my immune system that my body was like, we hate being on this diet. And there's just nothing you can do to counter that. So, you know, that's part of the healing cycle where you've got to follow what's right for you, and you've got to follow your body's issues. What can one do for depression and insomnia? Are mental issues connected to the gut? 100%. So there's the gut-brain axis, and the fact that the majority of neurotransmitters are in your gut, over 60%, not in your brain. 100% they're connected, and they affect each other back and forth. For depression and insomnia, I would say, as someone who did have insomnia for 2 years in my 20s, and I realized it was because I was finally willing to look at all the dysfunction and wounding in my life. And so as soon as I was willing, or I was kind of forced to, it like opened the floodgates, and I couldn't sleep at night. So I started journaling, and I just surrendered. I was like, this is what I need to go through, and it's going to take as long as it can take. So it's not about taking a sleeping pill to make myself go to sleep. It's like, there's a reason I'm up. what's happening? I've got all this stuff and I've got all these emotions and I've got, okay, for me, it was put it down on paper. So for you, maybe you like to do audio recordings to yourself if you don't like to write. Maybe you need to develop a meditative practice that you sit down and you just allow those emotions to come and flow through the body and release, and come and flow through the body and release. And maybe you have a little Tibetan singing bowl, and every time you feel a fresh emotion or fresh thought, you gong the bowl and you have the sound frequency. Like, you need to find the things for you that get to depression and insomnia. The body is the messenger of the subconscious. These are messages for you for you to look at what's going wrong. What do you need to change? What do you need to heal? What do you need to process? What do you need to resolve? What do you need to release? It's good stuff, and it's actually beneficial. Your body is forcing you to create time to deal with your shit. So stop fighting it. Stop trying to medicate it. Stop trying to run away from it. Lean in. And like I said, look for your own tools. Try hypnotherapy. You have to have a tool that integrates the mind with the body. Hypnotherapy, craniosacral at level 2 or higher. My program, laser tapping, sessions with an EFT tapping therapist. These are all somatic experiencing, another really great therapy. So I've given you 5 therapies. Get on them. Book 1. Start now. Okay. Next question. What remedies of yours do you recommend to help heal a fistula abscess? Okay, we dealt with that at the beginning. Couple of questions. Okay, I answered that one. So you typed again, smart woman. She wanted to get her question answered. Okay. Second part of your question. This is the woman whose son has been on the elemental diet for 7 weeks now and is still nauseous and blah, blah, blah. His doctor okayed him to start introducing food into his diet. Can he start with chicken instead of veggies? That's what he really wants. 100% yes. Yes. So again, as a mother, if you can take the view that this illness in your child is a gift, it's a messaging that your child is bringing forward for his soul and possibly your soul for things that need to be healed. So it's never just, if a child is ill, it's never just about the child. It's about your family dynamic. It's about primary relationships in the home with mom or dad or both. Okay, so if you can take that view and go, he's not the only one that's sick here. We are all imbalanced. We are all being messaged for healing to take place, right? So do your work on yourself. Again, the 5 therapies that I listed: somatic experiencing, hypnotherapy, laser tapping, craniosacral at level 2 or higher, and EFT tapping. Use one of those. Go into your own work. You as a mother probably have the closest link. I would work on, when things go wrong with my kids, let me tell you, I'm looking at myself first. And there's always something there that I need to heal, I need to shift, I need to resolve. So that having been said, this is also his healing journey. So you healing him helps him, but not really. Not in the big picture, not for the long term. What would help him is if you support him in learning how to heal himself. And then he's going to have a tool for life. When he's 25 and this flares again, or maybe he gets something else, or he's married and he's 30 and his wife gets cancer or whatever, he's going to know how to deal with all of that, because when you learn how to heal yourself from Crohn's or colitis, you learn how to heal anything. Okay, and again, I'm going to point you back to the home remedies section on my site. There's 350 pages of tried and tested remedies on there for everything. They work. So anything that comes up, go there first. You are empowered. You don't need to see a doctor. You don't need to use pharmaceuticals that cause collateral damage and ongoing problems. All the knowledge is there. It's 100% free. Please use it. Please get your family and friends to use it, because the more of us that can become empowered on the health front, the more the whole world can shift. So I'm very passionate about this. So back to your son. Can he start with chicken instead of veggies because that's what he's want? if you have taught him or encouraged him to learn the dialoguing with your body process, right? Which is where, and maybe you do this together. Maybe you both say, okay, okay, and I'm doing it right now. Deep breaths. And I can feel right now my nervous system is dropping. My energy is dropping lower. I'm now envisioning all that energy running down my body and sinking into the ground. I'm going to open up the top of my head. I'm going to bring in some divine light, whatever that looks like to you. Bring it in. If it's gold, if it's white, if it's blue, it's the right color for you. Open the top of your head. Bring in the light, flow it down behind your eyes, down your throat, down your torso. Swirl it around your pelvis and down both legs, out the soles of your feet into Mother Earth. Sink it deep into the earth. Coming from the divine source, God above, flowing down your body, connecting you deep into the earth where you live. Imagine your heart space opening and expanding to receive. And now place your hand on your belly. If you want to, place your other hand on your heart. And asking your belly, what food should I start with? And your first response, your first answer, that's what your body is saying to your son. And he does this and he goes with that. And then he keeps doing that. He redoes that process. How long did that take? I don't know, 20 seconds maybe? He does that process every time he wants to connect and ask his body, okay, what else should I do here? What's the next step? What other food should I add? Okay. Okay, that's it for the live today. I'm going to end it here. And again, I'll go through the questions and we'll bump them to the next live. And I will post again on Listen to Your Gut when I can do the next one. Thank you everybody for joining me. I hope that's been helpful. And this will be available on Instagram as a replay. We'll also post it to Facebook and we'll also post it to YouTube. And and maybe I'll do the next one on YouTube. Maybe I'll alternate between Instagram and YouTube live streams. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so glad that you guys could join me and wishing you an amazing Sunday. And just stay connected. Stay in your heart space. Everything's going to be good. You're on the path. I know it's hard. I know it gets harder. Just stay focused on the light. Life is happening for you, not to you. And this is your healing journey. For the healing and empowerment and expansion of yourself. And you're going to get to the end of this and you're going to go, I wouldn't choose to do that again. But that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you.